Hello, welcome back. We have another Apex review, teardrop, a lot of lulls, okay? A really long night, a lot of slow moments. But we still had some stars here and there. We still had some highlight reel performances. So let's go over it because we had some bad stuff too. We had good, bad. Let's go over it. First fight, we had Vanessa Demopoulos versus Talita Alencar. This was a women's strawweight and a little bit disappointing because Vanessa got completely dominated in there. It's like she didn't have any response to Talita's grappling. Like she just got grappled through and through. Like she was sat down in round one, taken down in round two, and sat there the whole time. That was the entire fight. So yeah, she literally could not stop the takedowns. It seemed like she had nothing. So that was not great, not a super great start, not a very competitive fight. Next fight, we had a heavyweight switcheroo. So Kennedy Nezucheku was supposed to be fighting Martin Bidet, but instead, Yuran Sadibaldayev was stepping in to make his UFC debut, and he was a shocking 60 pounds lighter, and he looked like it. Yep. And you know what? Props to him because he was really putting on a show. Like he was definitely being a gamer in there. Love to see it. But Martin was ready to use his weight advantage and put him up against the fence. Yeah. At least we got some bloody beginnings. So we got, that was one highlight of the fight. And to see Euron really go for it. Like he was like, hell yeah, I'm not going to waste this UFC debut. And that was awesome. I mean, he was game. He was so much smaller. You only see a weight discrepancy like that in heavyweight. Yikes. To give Martin credit, he was really active in the clinch. So that was a good one, Okay, all right. We picked up a little momentum from one extremely lopsided fight, right? And Martin Bidet was able to get his win over Euron because he just did a little bit more in that clinch, but also weighed on him. He definitely used his weight, pressed him up against the fence, got the unanimous decision. So then we have a very fun bantamweight scrap versus Victor Mangosta, the Mongoose, against Pedro Falco. This fight was really exciting. So round one, Victor drops Pedro and Pedro survives. I mean, that was amazing. Amazing. Pedro really showed his toughness, his heart, and Victor was struggling to get him out of there. But they both had responses for each other, and that was really exciting to see. We had a lot of really great in the pocket moments in that fight, and I love to see that. And we also got to see tons of reversals, a lot of scrapparoos on the ground. So that was great. Okay, we picked up a little steam. Unanimous decision win for Henry. Victor was able to be a little bit more active than Pedro, so he comes out on top with the unanimous decision. It was a true MMA bout. That was a good one. There were so many commercials, though. It was insane. I know how it is, okay? I know how ESPN likes to roll, but anyway. Fourth fight, women's strawweight again. Luma Lukbunme going against Estela Nunes, who was coming in short notice. And that was really interesting because you know what? We really got to see that Loma can do a lot more than just Muay Thai. She is an MMA practitioner and she worked that grappling skills. Hello, girl. So we did start with a kick for kick trade, very striky, very Muay Thai. But Loma managed to get 3 slams. And, Estella has some decent grappling skills. So that was, pretty cool to see Luma use that arsenal because that's not exactly where she usually is taking fights. Luke Bunmei was looking a lot more dominant in there. It was a pretty clear unanimous decision, but Estella was surprised when they announced it. I thought that was kind of interesting. But now Loma is on a 4-fight win streak. Next fight, this one was crazy. So Reese McKee against Danielle Frunza, welterweight madness. This was so amazing. Both of these guys came out absolutely swinging. It was violence right away. Daniel gets rocked. He falls right on his ass and he gets right back up. And he falls right back down on his ass 4 different times. Oh my gosh. It was blood. It was violence, but Daniel was so tough, he was there. It was amazing. It was amazing to see that he was still conscious. Oh my gosh, most people never. It was amazing. He seriously got knocked down, I think 4 different times in that first round, like right away. But you know what? It doesn't matter. This is war. This is war. You get the F up. And that's what he did. And he spit blood. You know what? That's just, what a memorable moment. You know, give a little blood spit. It was just so picturesque. It was a portrait of inspiration painted in blood. Wow. And unfortunately, before we could start a round 2, the doctor was like, this simply cannot continue because Daniel's lip was falling off his face. It was, yeah. So Reese gets the TKO via doctor stoppage, and he really needed that win. So that amazing bout and, you know, a little bit of an unfortunate outcome, but that's still Reese's first ever win in the UFC. So that is really great. It's great to see that momentum. I know that Daniel will be back for another bout. They're not going to get rid of him. No way. That was very, very exciting. You know, congratulations to Reese for such a performance. I mean, it was picturesque. Like I said, a portrait of inspiration painted in blood. Yeah. Then we make our way to our featured prelim, Dione Barbosa versus Diana Belbita. Wow. Another really exciting fight. This was crazy. So it starts out, you know, really right in the boxing. Like, both ladies are trading. I mean, Diana looks pretty scary. She's got the Brandon Moreno stance, you know what I mean? Head down, like real down low. Just really trying to box it out. Dione really showed her fight IQ, and she took advantage of the opportunity for a level change. Okay, Diana was coming just a little too close, okay? A little too close, and Dione said, okay, yes, because she is definitely got the advantage on the ground, and she took her there, and within minutes, she had her trapped. She had Diana trapped in an arm triangle, choking the life out of her. I mean, it looked like an anaconda squeezing its prey. Yes, it was beautiful. What a beautiful display of violence. Those 2 fights back to back. That was absolutely hype. What a featured prelim. Ready for the main event at that point. Oh, yes. But, you know, you get hyped because you see 2 really exciting fights. I'd say, honestly, 4 really good fights in a row. Okay, 3 amazing, 1 decent, whatever. And then, oh God, and then we get to a disaster. This was a disaster of a fight. I could have done better research because Taurus Finney, he was in the Dana White's Contender Series 3 times, right? That we know. And I was like, oh wow, that's so unfair. Like, they make you win 3 times. Now I know, okay? Now I know that the way he wins is in some of the most unflattering fashion you can imagine. Taurus game plan. So Taurus Finney, you know, we had a middleweight bout, Taurus Finney versus Rob Valentine, middleweights. So Taurus is stocky, 5'8", you know, short, stocky, and his entire game plan can be summed up like this. Pick him up, walk him around, take him to the vents, and throw him on down. Yes, it wasn't that great because nothing happened other than that, right? He picked him up, he put them down, and there was no threat of a submission. No, there wasn't. So it was a little bit of doo-doo. It was a little doo-doo-doo. A little not great. You know, it's not very often that you hear boos in the Apex. And that night we did. There were boos. It wasn't great. You know what? Rob Valentine did what he could to try to get some damage in on the defense. I think the ref broke it up 3 or 4 different times just in one round, the third round on the fence. And Torres would just push it right back. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Back to the fence every single time. It was such a bad look. So yes, like, Torres won the fight. He won the fight. I mean, one judge said that Rob Valentine won it, but all 3 of the judges agreed that Rob Valentine got the third round, but just That was bad. That was really bad. And I feel like I'm generous. Okay, I'm nice and that was bad. I'm nice and that was bad. No damage, all control. Ooh, yeah. But it's okay. It's okay because we recovered. Next fight, we went flyweight. So we brought it down. Ode Osborne versus Luis Garule, flyweights. And this was fun, all right? This was great. Luis coming in undefeated, debut. So lots at stake, but Ode a little bit more at stake. Losing fight streak and really needed to come back. And oh boy, did he. Yes. The thing about Ode Osborne is if he does unleash and if he can get it going, he's got some serious power. He is one of the flyweights who has that knockout power. Oh yes. And Ode set up a perfect left hand and wow, he got the knockdown, chased him and made it a finish. That was incredible. Career saved, perhaps, because, unfortunately, you have a little bit of a bad stint and that can get you cut. But I think this win is some really needed momentum. Wow, Ode, that left hand, as he put it, the Dewey Cooper special. So that noted, all right? Watch out for the Dewey Cooper special in the future. Seriously, what a setup. That was just amazing. Amazing when you slow it down and you watch it. 6th knockout win for Ode Osborne. One of the stars of the night. Then we get a really fun and semi-rare opportunity of veteran v veteran with Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert. What's up, GM3? Middleweights. 2 legendary middleweights that have like one of those crazy combined records of like 60 plus pro fights or something like that, something close to that. Like my. These guys have done so much in the UFC and in mixed martial arts in general. It was, yeah. We had a couple of moments right away where Gerald's head snapped back. Brad, he's always marching forward. He really knows how to grind it out in a decision. That's the truth. Brad is a decision man. He really puts on the pace. He really takes the control. Not exactly a knockout kind of guy, but he really he makes the fight happen. He makes it happen his way. And it was great. A lot of really great exchanges, and Brad was just a little bit more fit in there. He's a little bit more fit. Gerald was getting a little tired, getting a little bit more beat up. Just a little bit more beat up in there. And Brad just did great. I mean, great work. It was awesome. That was a pretty cool fight. It was really awkward at the end because, okay, Brad Tavares, middleweight legend, and his tied Michael Bisping for the most wins in the middleweight division. And it was very weird. Michael made Brad say his name. He was like, "And who are you tied with?" What the hell? Anyway, so that was awkward. Yeah. And then, wow, we move on to another great fight. But just so much commercials. That was really the unfortunate thing, is there was just so much moments in between. I was like, can we get there? Anyway, but when we got there. We got there to Chang Ho Lee versus Cortavicius Romeus, Bantamweight, men's Bantamweight. Yes. If I had to describe this fight, I would say murder jiu-jitsu or murder jitsu. Yes, this was murder jiu-jitsu. This was amazing. This fight was primarily a battling of ground control and submission attempts, right? But it was violence still littered in there. That's what is the beauty of MMA. It was perfect. It was such a bloodbath. I love to see it. And it was a bloodbath in a fashion that we don't always get to see. We don't always get to see rolling around and damage. And Chang Ho Lee is... he's an absolute expert, right? But both of these men, they had the never give up mentality. This fight, I mean, it starts off in a mosh pit flurry, right? We're just going insane right away. But yes, then quickly on the ground and the murder jitsu begins. And it's a grappling bloodbath. And we make it somehow. We survive to round 2. Got to overcome a little bit of a pee-pee shot. So that's unfortunate. But again, Chang Ho gets Cortavicius down. And he's all over him. And he puts in that ground and pound work in effectively with that crazy control. Oh my gosh. This man is energy. And Chang Ho gets that TKO finish in round 2. I mean, wow. Yes. And then we make it to our co-main event, Pat Sabarini Sabatini versus Joe Anderson Brito. Strikey, strikey. Strikey, strikey Brito. Feather. So 2 featherweight bouts for co-main and main events. And this was all Pat. This fight was all Pat, all day. Sabatini, Stickerini. Pat is a very effective striker, but he comes from a wrestling background, and that's where he wanted to be in that fight. He wanted to neutralize Joe Anderson's very effective, violent, powerful striking and take him to the ground and hold him there and get a bit of damage as well, of course, because that's Pat. Pat, he knows what to do. He knows how to position himself in a grappling exchange to get that damage, to land strikes. And it was Pat all day. I mean, 13 minutes and 30 seconds, something like that, total of ground control in the fight. That's virtually the whole fight. So virtually the whole fight was Pat, but there was, it was still blood. So it wasn't just laying on top of somebody and just waiting for the clock to go down. Pat is violence. Pat Sabarini Sabatini is violence, yes. Gets that decision win, though, through absolute control. Damage and control. Primarily control. Then the main event, as many people suspected, Lerone Murphy was able to be the youth. He just did more. He did more out there. It wasn't completely a one-sided fight. He didn't just beat Josh Emmett's ass, but he was springy. He was able to just escape. He was able to escape, get in and out, land more, do more. And it's what a lot of people suspected, just for Lerone to look and be a little bit more energetic as the younger guy, as the guy who also isn't coming in riddled with injury, unfortunately. So a semi-predictable end, but lots of excitement, lots of unexpected moments as well, and a couple of career saves, so that's pretty dope. Some people aren't super excited with the performance, and by some I mean many. I mean, Lerone was essentially booed out of the Apex, so a couple of boos at the Apex that night, and unfortunately, he didn't engage. I feel like perhaps as much as some people would have liked, but it was a very clinical performance, as you could say. It was smart. It was smart to not engage Josh, and because there's a definite power differential there. I mean, Josh Emmett that's what he's known for. One punch man. He's very, very strong, and Lerone Murphy just kept his distance well and was able to get away and make a little bit more happen. But I don't think people are super excited to think about him fighting for the belt. But, it was still a very clinical, very technical performance. Unanimous decision win. Josh just couldn't get to him. Couldn't really unleash. Got a couple, some good back and forths, but yeah, I would say Lerone Murphy was not one of the stars that night. The big stars were Reese McKee, Ode Osborne, Dion Barbosa, and Pat Sabarini Sabatini. Stickerini, I guess, because there is no submission. Pat Stickerini Sabatini. And Brad, okay? Brad Tavares. But people were not exactly thrilled about Lerone's performance, but still undefeated. What was your favorite fight of the night? Let me know. And what do you think is next for Lerone Murphy? And, I mean, what's next for Josh, since he was really hoping for some title aspirations? Don't think that that's what they'll do. But what do we do with Lerone?